What is up? It's Tom. If I did this right, I should be live right now. It's been a real long time. Been a real long time since I've gone live. I don't recall if I've ever been live while a game is in progress before. Uh, Luke Keyshaw just made an excellent sliding catch on the warning track. Twins are up 5-2. My boy Andrew Morris, who's been on an absolute roll, is on the mound. But I do want to call out um, anybody who's catching this on a replay. Don't leave. Don't leave if you're watching this on replay. I'm going to kind of, you see, I've got game day up here as we kind of roll through and follow this game along. I'm also going to have kind of a side conversation as well about Ryan Jeffers a little bit. So we are going to kind of keep an eye on this game for sure. I considered just waiting until the game was over and jumping on. But, a big part of this is me getting outside of my comfort zone. So just going to kind of let it go again. Hope you're having a nice Friday evening. Andrew Morris on the mound trying to help close out this win. It's the bottom of the eighth inning. Twins are up 5-2. I've just got screens everywhere. This is, this is getting back into the comfort zone here. But obviously a huge game. Looks like they're going to get the second out. Yep. And I'm going to be a little bit ahead of this stream might be behind, actually. I don't know which is usually faster, the broadcast or game day. It might be game day. They're showing a replay of that Keyshaw catch. So I'm going to talk about a really pivotal play that Keyshaw made on the bases as well. But again, kind of as we're settling in here, go on to talk about Ryan Jeffers. Ryan Jeffers had a massive home run in this game, really changed the entire tone of this game and Bailey Ober's start. It was in the third inning, and that big Keyshaw play was in that inning as well. But I just want to have a general conversation about Ryan Jeffers while we're keeping an eye on this game. And, it's the obvious, analysis of Ryan Jeffers as well. He's a pending free agent. So, why would they let him walk for nothing? And I get that. And I get when you're the Twins, they have a losing record. They're tied for a playoff position right now. It's kind of easy to think that, well, you're not really going to go all in. So why won't you trade the guy who's a pending free agent, who's going to have a really huge market? Ryan Jeffers is a very marketable player at this trade deadline. But think about it. The team acquiring Ryan Jeffers is going to be in the exact same situation, and they're giving up prospects to do it. Now, I understand if that team is has their sights on a World Series, that makes that conversation different because you are willing to take a bigger risk. You're willing to have some more aggressiveness. So I get that. But again, the Twins have Ryan Jeffers. They don't have to give up anything for him. Yes, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season, but that would be the case for anybody that acquires him. So I think you have to. It's a different way than I think we're usually used to thinking as a Twins fan. And it depends on how they're going to operate. Thinking about like a team like Cleveland, Andrew Morris just got a little chopper. Looks like the game day again is a little quicker than my stream here. So they are out of the eighth inning. Twins carrying a lead, 5-2 lead into the top of the ninth inning. Looking good in this first game out from the All-Star break. Huge game. I've got to figure out the best way to overlay some of this stuff without maybe getting some of these ads on here. Yeah, and this is this is my first time live streaming in a long time. I don't know if I've ever tried to live stream while a game is going on. So bear with me here. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna get into it. Keyshaw night, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Again, going to touch on, let's just talk about that now since we're in between innings. We've got a little bit of a moment here to discuss that, kind of go back. Bear with me just a sec here. I've got that somewhere. So I'm going to pull up a screen grab, a little image. So here's little Keyshaw. This was in that huge inning where Ryan Jeffers hit that home run I alluded to. So this ball was a throw from coming inside the infield, basically. So Keyshaw, obviously anytime the takeout slides aren't a thing anymore, but anytime you are, there's going to be a play potentially, you want to obstruct that thrower as much as you can. So he's doing that, but he also knows the angle of that throw is going to come toward the inside of the bag there. And so he slides outside. This was a good play regardless. This was a smart play regardless. But in addition to that, the throw you can see it barely nicked his sliding glove, which, I've got I don't know if anybody in here watches Foolish Baseball Bailey, but his other channel. But he recently went on kind of a rant about sliding gloves. I think he's got a good point. Maybe those are maybe they should find a different way to protect guys' hands because those things are huge. But check out that video. I won't give up his whole talk there. But, came to the Twins and Keyshal's advantage here. That ball barely hit his sliding glove. And it did, unfortunately, hit, is that Swanson, I think? I think it was the shortstop, Dansby Swanson, in the face off of that, late ricochet. You didn't have time to react. But again, even if that didn't happen, that was a really heady base running move by Keyshall, and obviously it paid off huge. And then Ryan Jeffers hits the home run, which put the Twins up. And Bailey Ober was really struggling to that point and really settled in. Ober walked the first two batters he faced tonight. If you would have told me he had as good a start as he did earlier in this outing, I would have been shocked because he looked rough to open the game. He didn't have a great second inning either. He gave up consecutive singles in the second inning, but he got two double play balls, huge pitches, two double play balls, one in the first, one in the second to get him through those really rocky outings. And again, the lineup gave him 3 runs in the top of the third, and he locked in. He absolutely locked in, struck out the next 5 guys, and was on cruise control for a while there. So, Ober these days, not always going to pitch deep into games. Sometimes he's a really pitch efficient guy. Sometimes it takes a lot, especially on a day where you didn't have it. Walked a couple guys. So you're probably going to have to anticipate maybe he's not going to go all that deep into a game. So this is, a big deal. Luckily, the offense keeps giving support. But, in addition to getting a good start from Bailey Ober, who's been out for a while, you get a good full outing from this bullpen. I mean, this Twins team already had momentum. That's kind of a concern of the All-Star break timing, is that the Twins have been absolutely rolling. So the All-Star break almost kind of coming at an inconvenient time for a team that was rolling. And this would be, we can't count on this working out. We know how the Twins bullpen works. So we're crossing all of our fingers. We're knocking on all the wood. But this would be a really great way to open the second half. So here's hoping that they can continue to pull this out. Completely fresh bullpen. So Andrew Morris did only throw 14 pitches though. And, I kind of jokingly have said my bullpen plan would just be have Andrew Morris throw the final 3 innings of every single game. Obviously, that's taking it to an extreme. Looks like Yoendrys Gomez is warming up in the bullpen, but if I was Derek Shelton, I'd be tempted just to leave Morris out there. But again, totally fresh bullpen. You can't just depend on one guy, so they're gonna have to depend on more than just Andrew Morris throughout the rest of this. Oh man, yeah, and we get looks like that's like a Poly Market ad or something back there. Yeah, I might need to. We'll see. This is a work in progress. So I'll maybe have to look into some ad blocking capabilities here. But anyway, just thought it'd be fun to have game day pulled up since we are still in the middle of the game. Again, I was considering waiting until the game ended, but I thought, well, might be kind of fun. Yeah, come on, Yoendrys. Absolutely. This would be massive. This is, your best situation you're going to get in for a save, a 3-run save. Wrigley, kind of a big crowd on a Friday night, not the easiest. Yep, and Gomez is coming in for Morris. Yeah, I'm biased, but I think I would just, anytime I put Andrew Morris in a game, I wouldn't take him out. I just love that guy. But yeah, Yoendrys has been money. So, and we haven't really seen a locked in closer. I think speaking of that, Morris, I think, got the last save conversion with a 2-inning save, if I'm remembering correctly. Again, the All-Star break has put some muddiness into that. But so it's not like Gomez has been the guy in the back end of the Twins bullpen. So they seem to be playing matchup still. And, this could be a big stamp for him to say, hey, I got this. Closing out a big game on the road. But this would also, the whole element to this 2026 Twins team, I think, is just the pressure is off. The pressure is off, and they're kind of playing with house money, and they can go from here. I think that would encapsulate this game as this series as well, if they can take this game. Because if you're going into, this is a good Cubs team, you're on the road, you say, okay, if we can win one, if we can win one of these 3 games, we'll be pretty satisfied with that. If we can take 2, that'd be great. If we can win the series on the road, awesome. If we can just take 1, that's fine. So if they take this first game, the pressure's off. And again, I think this team has really been thriving off of this kind of lack of expectations. So we're getting ahead of ourselves here, clearly, because Gomez is already 2-0. But yeah, this would be a really nice way to open the second half. So here's hoping Yoendris can get it done with his purple mitt. I don't think they have that on game day yet. We're not that. They might have the 3D one. That's probably too weird to put on, though. I don't know if you've checked that out yet, but it's pretty strange. So we'll see if they can pull this thing out. Question about Morris potentially becoming a starter again next year. We don't see those kind of conversions back into starting roles often, but the Tampa Bay Rays are doing with Griffin Jax. Actually, it's going really well. Jax, who had not been pitching well in relief for them, now has been looking pretty good as a rotation piece once they stretched him back out. Looks like there's going to be a walk, but they're going to challenge. Obviously, leadoff walk. Luckily, again, the Twins have a cushion here, but no lead feels safe with the 2026 Twins bullpen. Yeah, it's not, there's no reason to think he couldn't. And Andrew Morris, if he stays healthy and they keep pitching him this much, he's getting plenty of physical exertion. It's not like, I don't know, can he really build up again to throwing, and Jeffers wins the challenge. That was a great challenge. Wow. Barely nicked the corner of the zone. And why not too? This is such a huge pitch. That's just a smart challenge. Even if he thought, maybe there's only a 25% chance we're going to get this. That was probably worth a call there from Jeffers on the challenge. So full count. Oh, and it looks like, I'm behind. I'm a little bit behind. Oh, fouled off. So, yeah, maybe Morris would potentially move back into the rotation next year. We'll see. Of course, Pablo's going to be back. So that kind of puts another arm into that picture. Prelip, hopefully he gets through the season and is a full go for, completely any kind of chains off. So, oh man, yeah, Gomez saw that ball 4 and he's just yelling into his glove. He is pissed at himself. But again, they've got a three-run cushion. You can only keep saying that for so long, but still, got to get it done. So again, this is a huge opportunity for Yoendris Gomez. I think we kind of we haven't calibrated properly as Twins fans to kind of who this guy is. He's been so good. He's a 1.71 ERA for the Twins, Yoendris Gomez. But prior to this, he had not been, as the Twins picked him up pretty much for nothing. He had not been a guy you would think of in a closer role. So this is huge. This is huge for him, establishing, obviously he wants to win this game. Obviously he wants to show that he's a reliable guy for Derek Shelton, but this is also Yoendris Gomez trying to prove that he is a major leaguer, that he's a back end of the bullpen guy. And, as good as he's been, the jury is definitely still out. So this would be another stamp on him. Relievers are so inconsistent, but if he can get out of this, even with some, walking the leadoff guy, danger. But we've seen enough. We've seen enough Fernando Rodney saves that we know how this could go. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, if you are a closer, you brought into this situation, you've got 3 runs to work with. So, I would certainly rather see, well, not right now, but in certain situations, pitching to certain parts of the lineup, like, hey, put a guy on. If you're facing a dangerous bat that you don't feel like you want to challenge, I feel like that was kind of a secret ingredient to Fernando Rodney, in addition to him just having terrible control. Like, I don't want to make it seem like that was all strategic on his end, but there are certain times as a closer, you do need to kind of consider the game situation, consider the part of the lineup you're pitching to, and kind of know, like, well, this isn't the guy I really want to challenge when I'm behind in the count, for example. He's ahead in the count right now. Yeah, and I'm a bit behind the game day, so excited to see an out recorded here, apparently. Oh, yeah, a little check swing over to first. You get the out at second. Double play. Royce Lewis made a great play at first, and he is super fired up. Nice. Oh, it's fun to see Royce like back enthusiastic. I mean, this first base move has just been a huge reset for him. And credit to him. I was kind of wondering how he would do going back to St. Paul. Not everybody's going to take that well. Not everybody's going to be opening to changing positions, but obviously Royce has had hard times for long enough. That was a money play. Hopefully I don't know that he kept his foot on first. I don't know, but that either way, even if he didn't, that was an awesome throw. And then back to the bag and stretch. Oh, he got it. I think he got it. Wow. Kreidler with the throw back, a little bit wild. And of course, Lewis trying to get back to the bag. Oh my gosh. No doubt about it. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Let's go. Wow. That was unbelievable. Yeah, Yoendrys Gomez. He's they call him safe. Oh, he beat the throw. Okay. Sorry, I don't have audio, so I'm trying to kind of piece together what's going on here. Again, first time live streaming in a real long time. So, and then like sometimes they don't update the graphics quick. So you guys got to help me out. Yeah, I agree that Kreidler, he made it was with a catcher running, but he made a great play coming in on a ball in this game, but he had to come way in. It was a slow dribbler. Again, he had a lot of time to throw, but it was a really good looking play. Skipper Shelton has done a great job putting the players. Yeah, that's one thing. It's one thing to look at a guy like Luke Keeschel, and I think we could all look at him and say, I don't know that second base is really going to work out here. Brooks Lee, I don't know that shortstop's really going to work out here. Again, we could see that if you're watching, paying close enough attention. It's not that easy to then kind of approach that player and say like, hey, I know this is sort of where you're comfortable. We think it's best for the team to put you here because we really like, Kreidler at shortstop, or, we prefer Clemens at second, and we wanted you to play some outfield. Even when that's like the smart, kind of obvious call, I can guarantee you Brooks Lee thinks of himself as a shortstop still. I can guarantee you Luke Keeschel thinks of himself as a second baseman still. Royce Lewis probably thinks of himself as a third baseman still. So it's hard to Shelton and anybody else in the clubhouse, even like guys like Byron Buxton and Josh Bell and Cody Clemens, the veterans, Ryan Jeffers, and that clubhouse kind of setting the tone of the clubhouse. There's just layers upon layers of an environment in which guys are open to those things and accept those things and willing to put themselves in an uncomfortable position. And certainly that you can start at the top of that with Shelton. So yeah, that's been impressive to see. And then of course, none of these, it's so easy to rip on the bullpen, but none of these bullpen guys have roles really. I alluded to it when talking about Gomez. He's sort of the closer, I suppose, if we were going to pick one, but he's not really been strictly used like a traditional closer. And Andrew Morris has had whatever, he's pitched in kind of every role that they could put in. And now he's, on this hot streak that he's on. He's definitely in the thick of the high leverage piece. So yeah, we are down to the last out here. Still only man on first. Gomez has the advantage. 2 down. Again, my stream is a little bit behind the game day. So if you're seeing the game day up here, he yanked one, but that's all right. He's got plenty of pitches. And again, kind of like I was alluding to with the closer thing too, like you got all these pitches. Like there's no reason not to try to get him to chase twice. And hell, if you walk him, obviously you don't want to bring the tying run to the plate. I'm not saying that. But another one. I'm just saying, try to get an extra chase. Get a Fernando Rodney experience if it must be. A save is a save at that point. So fingers crossed. There's never a comfortable time as a 2026 Twins fan with a lead late in the game. Oh boy. In the air, it looks like it's playable. Keishel puts it away and into the ivy he goes. Wow. Again, this is a huge win for the Twins. Coming out in the second half, I mentioned it earlier, they lost so much momentum just from going on the All-Star break. All that momentum they had, I don't think it necessarily carries over, and they carried it over. And again, this series at Chicago playing a good Cubs team, I think you can only look at it if you're really being realistic and saying, well, we got to take 1 out of 3. We can't get swept. We're on the road. You can't really expect to go into Wrigley and take 2 from a good Cubs team. Now that you've taken the first game, all pressure is off. The rest of the series, it's money, money in the bank. They've already checked the box of what they needed to do on this trip to Chicago. They can play without any kind of tension, I feel like. So Bailey Ober, big shout out to Bailey Ober in this one, guy who had a rough opening. Let's see. I don't know if I like that. Let's see, here's where we're gonna play around here a little bit. Again, first time in a very long time streaming. Here we go. I set up a couple things beforehand, but every time you're doing it live, it's a little bit of a different animal. So Twins win 5-2, huge win in Chicago. To mention Bailey Ober, but do want to just call out this play in the top of the third inning. Luke Keishel sliding in the inside of the base, knowing that the throw is going to be coming from that direction, was trying to disrupt a potential double play, but also this throw nicked his hand and went from a potential double play ball to no outs, men on. He got knocked in by Larnach, I think it was, and then later on, Ryan Jeffers hit the home run. That home run was massive to Bailey Ober. The Bailey Ober had 2 really rough first 2 innings. Luckily, got 2 double play balls. Somehow escaped, got double play balls in consecutive innings, and then that 4-1 lead, that Jeffers home run, just seemed Ober was just a different pitcher after that. And again, maybe he hasn't pitched a lot lately, coming back from the injured list. Maybe he was just working off some rust. It was a combination of the two. But whatever it was, that really set the bar. And yeah, Ober, he threw a changeup. I can't remember who he got. He got somebody looking, and it was just gorgeous. And you could tell he had a hop in his step coming off the mound after that one. And you could tell he was starting to feel it. Really fun to watch him work when he's on it, because it's such a different, there's not guys like Bailey Ober anymore, really. There are guys who are like change of specialists, I suppose. A lot of guys more in the bullpen that you'll see with kind of unusual pitch mixes like that, where they barely throw too many fastballs. So it's fun to watch. And he struck out 7. Ober struck out 7 in 5 1/3 innings. So he's still missing bats. He's still, again, getting guys caught off guard, mixing up his pitches well. But the bullpen, Tommy Nance came in and he threw a wild pitch that allowed one of Ober's runs to score. So he didn't look super sharp. In 1 1/3 inning, he gave up a hit and a walk. Did he get a strikeout? But other than that, Taylor Rogers retired the only guy he faced. Pete Crow Armstrong. Andrew Morris pitched a perfect 8th inning. Yuendrys Gomez did give up a walk, but he did not give up a hit or a run. So what is that? 1, 2, 3 2/3 shutout innings of 1 hit ball, 2 walks, only 2 strikeouts, but that's okay. We'll take it. Would like to see a higher octane Twins bullpen that misses more bats, but again, we'll take it. All right, let's see here. Fired up. Let me look through. I've got the live chat going, but also let me look through here on another tab. Again, yeah, I think there was a couple of comments about the shortstop situation, and I'm on that too. Tristan Gray started today, and he it's not like he's like, I don't trust him at all, and that he's some kind of horrible shortstop, but just Ryan Kreidler's looks so much better, and Ryan Kreidler's hit too, which is shocking. He hit at St. Paul too, but it's a different animal. So yeah, we MN Sports Guy RPI would need to play Kreidler every day until Culpepper is up. I can get behind that. Another comment, no need to see Gray at shortstop again. I can kind of get behind that. Gray does seem like a pretty obvious candidate to be kind of the odd man out once promotions start happening, which reminds me of another thing I prepared. One sec here. Speaking of promotions, let's see how this goes.
So 1-0 here to Jenkins, and he turns on one. Will it stay fair? It is fair, and it is gone.
Pretty impressive home run there from Walker Jenkins from the Saints game today. He seems like he's picking it up. So, Kalen Culpepper, obviously front of mind for, not just for how well he's played, but also just there's an obvious opportunity at shortstop for the Twins. But like Walker Jenkins is good. He only went 1 for 4 with that home run. So make it sound like he had some kind of insane day, but that was a beautiful swing. He's got an 837 OPS with the Saints. Been playing better of late. Was at the Futures game and had a good time there, it looked like. So, yeah, Jenkins is also going to be in that picture. So that'll be super fun. Let's see here. Yeah, back to 500. Absolutely. That's huge. Yeah, Bailey Ober. Outstanding outing, really grinded. Again, those 2 double play balls in the first and the second inning. If he doesn't get those and execute those pitches and get those, this game could have turned out completely different. Completely different. Yeah, and if you missed it, I no longer want to trade Jeffers. Ask me again when he has a bad game. Hero Killer 69. Yeah, it's and you know what? That's funny that you say that because it's kind of the way the Twins play. That opinion might change too. I no longer want to trade Jeffers now that the Twins are over 5 or at 500. They won a game on the road in Chicago. If they lose the next 2, ask me that. Because if the Twins are in this, I talked about it earlier before a lot of people got in the stream. But Ryan Jeffers, he is a free agent at the end of the offseason or at the end of the season, this offseason, excuse me. But the team you'd be trading them to would be accepting that fact as well. So that team, the hypothetical team that's acquiring Ryan Jeffers, is giving up a prospect and is losing Ryan Jeffers at the end of the year. So, why do we think, obviously, if we're talking about, I don't know, the Dodgers or somebody who is like a serious World Series contender, this conversation is different. But why would another team's kind of similar to the Twins that's in the hunt? Why do we think it makes more sense for that team to trade for Ryan Jeffers than for the Twins to keep Ryan Jeffers? Yes, you're not going to give him the qualifying offer. He's going to leave in the off season, but he might be the difference between you making the playoffs and not. And I understand even if the Twins get in, it's not like they're going to be favored to go very far. But I think where the Twins are, you're talking baseball only. I get it. You don't want to lose a guy for nothing. You want to add to, the system, add whatever else. But sometimes the baseball decisions aren't the best thing for a team in the moment. And I think we're in that situation. It's a weird, It's a weird spot to get into, but the Twins have gotten themselves there. I think both on the field and off the field, actually. Off the field, Tom Pohlad, I think, understands that they need to create any kind of goodwill that they can with the fan base. So that's, anything they can do, to try to show that they're winning. And it's as simple as just simply not trading Ryan Jeffers. What a more simple thing can you do than that? You're not even spending money. I suppose if they traded him, they'd get some of that money off the books, but whatever. So from that perspective, the bigger picture perspective, the Twins just need that, as an organization, the Pohlads in general, just to kind of, as a reach out to the fan base, say, hey, we're trying to win here. But from the baseball perspective, like, this team deserves a shot. These players, this clubhouse, this coaching staff, they deserve a shot if they can get between now and the deadline, if they can keep playing well. I mean, if you're going to trade Ryan Jeffers, if you're going to trade Joe Ryan, that's a whole nother step forward. Maybe we won't go that far. If you're going to trade Ryan Jeffers for prospects, let's say, you're just like spitting in Byron Buxton's face. And I'm so thankful that Byron is so committed here, but like, how many more times is he going to take being spat at in the face, basically? So, yeah, I want to see them I want to see them have the reason to keep Jeffers. We'll put it that way. He had a great night. That homer was massive. Comment here. Love the emphasis on the Keishel slide. Maybe we'll pull that up again. Might be recency bias, but I feel like this team does the little things so much more or so much better than they have in the past few years. That's a great example of one. I also think there's kind of different. There's just a different athleticism with this team, and part of it is because some of these guys have moved down the defensive spectrum. You start out with Brooksley and Luke Keishall in your middle infield. Then you move one to third, you move one to the outfield, you bring in Ryan Kreidler. Cody Clemens isn't like a Gold Glover or anything at second base. So I'm not going to really stretch that out. Royce Lewis is looking pretty good at first base, especially that play he made that I got really confused on earlier. But yeah, I got Paza de Hydracion. Is that how you call it? Got some thank yous. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. Again, just trying to kind of get my wheels back under me live streaming. This is so much fun to do, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge to find some time to do this, and just worked out well. It's hard to do too. I have so much respect for people who can do this kind of stuff for like hours. I didn't even make it a half hour without needing a water break. So I like this take from George here. Feels like the team is a bit less tight and more free and having more fun. Absolutely. Wherever that's coming from, that might even, it's always easy to sort of kick dirt toward a guy who isn't around anymore. But I mean, I think it's easy to suspect that might have part to do with that Carlos Correa is no longer around. Nothing wrong with Carlos Correa having like high standards and being a guy really focused on winning and doing, putting in the extra work, but that might have just gotten exhausting, or is a tough clubhouse big presence to deal with when you're around 500. If you're on a great team, that's probably great. If you're on a team that's kind of middling, maybe that's hard to come to work every day. I don't know. It's we're not in there. Can't fully speculate on what it is. Maybe it's all Shelton. Maybe it's part Shelton, part Correa. I don't know, but this is as loose of a Twins team as I can remember in a long time. Probably the Bomba squad. And that was a team, first year manager. That was a team, not really big expectations. That was a team that had major clubhouse changes with Nelson Cruz coming in. It's we don't need to be in the clubhouse on that one. It's easy to see that this team is playing more free. And again, starting the second half of the win, taking a game in Wrigley, they should be loosey-goosey the rest of this weekend because they've already mission accomplished. This is what they had to do, is win one. They've done it. Bang. So everything else they can do on top of that is free money, basically. Would you take? I'm not going to get too detailed into trade targets yet because we have some time to do that. But if we're getting there, whatever. Duvall, that's an interesting name to throw out because he's a former closer, and I don't think, even though I'm talking about this about the Twins, keeping Jeffers, trying to win and all that, I still don't imagine they're going to trade for like a huge, one of the top closers available at the deadline. I don't think they're going to push that many chips in. So when that's the case, it is kind of interesting to think about, well, who's a guy who has a lot of back inning success. And yeah, Duvall, a guy who's had a 39 save season with the Giants back a few years ago. Currently with the Yankees, he's in his basically he's played a full season there, pitching terribly. He certainly wouldn't be the first guy to, not pitch well in New York, although his command really left him in San Fran too. But we know the score. These relievers, again, like Yoendrys Gomez didn't look like anything a couple months ago, and now he's closing out game for the Twins. A month from now, he might turn back into a pumpkin. It's so hard to say with these relievers, and every outing is so hyper focused, and you have one bad outing, and all of a sudden your ERA balloons, and it looks like you're just garbage. So, I wouldn't want to give up too much for him, but it's not a bad example of a guy with closing experience who's not going to completely break the bank and who would fit into the bullpen. Now, I don't know what that trade would look like because the Yankees obviously aren't going to be looking for prospects right now. So, we'll see. Question on, do the Twins trade for a reliever or two at the deadline in the playoffs hunt? Hope so. They're going to have to keep playing well. And this is tough. They're at Chicago, and then they're at Cleveland for 4 games, which is, Cleveland's not looking, they're in first place. They're tied for first place at the moment. So I don't want to talk smack about them, but they're not as scary as they are a lot of the time. But especially with Jose Ramirez being out right now, he has a broken hamate bone, just like Ryan Jeffers got back from. But Cleveland could be the worst record in baseball, and I would be terrified to go into Cleveland. So, question on the Twins potentially selling and buying. That's probably, I kind of refer to that in some of that Jeffers talk. That's probably where the logical space will be. Again, so much depends on these next 15 or whatever games. But yeah, it is easy to look at Jeffers and say he's a pending free agent. They do have Caratini, and then Alex Jackson has looked good. So it's not like we would be completely just, you're just blowing up catcher if you trade Ryan Jeffers. Obviously, Jeffers is better than those guys. He's much better than Jackson, and much more proven. But you could probably trade Ryan Jeffers and not be completely, oh, well, you might as well just trade all the rest of the guys because you just tanked it. So we could see that. We've seen the Twins do kind of similar things to that in the past. But again, depending on where the Twins are at, every win counts the same. So it's kind of silly to have such a hyper-focused, approach. But the closer the Twins can stay in the race or the more they can build, the more I'm going to want to keep Ryan Jeffers. And yeah, of course, he's going to be a pending free agent. Maybe you're going to kick yourself somewhere down the road. But I think the system is really healthy too. The system, Baseball America ranked the Twins farm system as the 7th best system in baseball before the draft. And then they added Von Lackey and a bunch of other exciting guys. So at a certain point, even though I'm a prospects guy, at a certain point, I think you can look at a farm system and be like, well, we're pretty set there. Obviously, you would hope you could get some nice pieces back for Ryan Jeffers, but sometimes trades don't really work out like you hope they would. And maybe it's one of those scenarios where the baseball move isn't the right move. Yeah, somebody said they'd be okay moving Austin Martin and Matt Wallner. I don't think anybody's going to trade for Matt Wallner to give you I don't think probably nobody's going to give you anything MLB wise. You might be able to get some prospects from some guys if you want to move those players, but I don't think you're getting any kind of MLB pieces. Oh boy, how surprised am I at the record? Surprised. I wasn't. A lot of people were thinking, "Oh, this is a 100-loss team." I didn't think that was the case because there's a lot more here than a lot of other bad teams. This is a Twins team that was really bad at the end of last season, especially 92 loss season. So jumping to 100, I get why people were going there. It was a pretty logical thing to do, but most of the preseason, nerdy fan graphs like projected standings and stuff, they're always kind of putting teams toward the middle. But they had the Twins as like a very middle of the road, maybe like a 77, 78 win team, if I'm remembering correctly. So I am surprised, but I wasn't quite as down, but I certainly, if you were to tell me we would be talking about the Twins potentially buying on July 17th, I wouldn't have believed you. I'll say that much. No way. No way. Oh, it looks like beyond Jeffers, there's some talk of maybe Josh Bell, Trevor Larnach, Cody Clemens. Yeah, I get that. And if the Twins, let's say the Twins lose like 12 of the next 15 games, just after this game tonight, fall on their faces. I could see that being on the table because, those aren't long-term pieces. Those guys are controlled beyond this year. Well, not Bell, but Larnach and Clemens are. But also, again, the Twins have a good system. There are guys coming up who you could, but I still am of the opinion that, like, you have a good farm system. Why are you going to trade away major league pieces who are producing to get more prospects? Like, you can only like pitching, of course. But the thing that's kind of tricky about pitching is I think every team is pretty reluctant to trade away pitching prospects right now. I think it's way easier to acquire bats. If you turn things around and think if the Twins make trades, it's a lot easier for me to throw out bats as trade guys, potentially prospects. Hey, who are some prospects you think the Twins could trade? I'm bats. It's just bats. Because I'm not thinking, they could trade an arm. No, that's no team. I don't think is like, oh, we have enough pitching in our pipeline. So yeah, if you could tell me, if the Twins fall out of it and you can tell me they can use some of those pieces to get some pitching, maybe even some high minors pitching, that would maybe kind of coax me out of there. But the move that would make me truly excited about extending Joe Ryan, that would be a big deal. Joe Ryan kind of has a weird situation. He has I don't think he should be off limits. Absolutely. If that would be like, no way. No, that would be we're throwing Tom Pohlad out. Everything he's ever said has just been BS. If they trade Joe Ryan, he talks about competing, talks about wanting to win, and then if they were to, I can't see that happening. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about that. But that would have been on the table if the Twins were terrible, I suppose. So, maybe I would have thought differently if the Twins were playing worse, but they have Joe Ryan for next year. They have this weird mutual option, which it'll get declined. Joe Ryan will decline it, but then he's arbitration eligible for next year. So he's under control. An extension would be great. I don't know that Joe is, who knows how he feels about here and all that stuff, but oh yeah, it did feel a little bit like old school Piranha Ball with the, that Keishall, that ball hitting his glove. That was definitely like a Piranha era ball. For anybody who missed that, like, imagine the chaos and terrorism of the Cleveland Guardians that we have to put up with all the time. That was the Twins back in the day, believe it or not, at one point, for anybody who's too young to have seen that. Yeah, Culpepper, again, I'm a prospects guy, but I understand a lot of these teams, they go with the money on the table. They go with the bankable guy. Like, this was sort of something that I thought about Josh Bell entering the year. Like, yeah, there were some other bats I kind of would have liked to have opened up some more opportunities for internally at DH and potentially first base. They were talking about playing him at first a lot. Which seemed weird at the time, which he hasn't. But, it accepted the fact that after they signed Bell, they were looking for a clubhouse guy and just wanted that bankable production. So, it's tough with a prospect. You don't know what you're getting. They could hit their stride, they could stink. He could be, the worst hitter in baseball. I've watched a lot of Cam Culpepper, and I can't tell you, for sure what he's going to look like against major league pitching. But I'm excited to say I would push that button. Absolutely. Once he gets back and he gets healthy. Or Jenkins even as mentioned. Both of those guys, I'm really excited to see. It's tricky. I am wearing pants. Yes, I am. I'm not standing up, but I am wearing pants. Yeah. That's a great point too. There's value for the fans in watching a team play hard and a team that's playing for something to win too. Like, yeah. If we're all being honest, like this is a Twins team that's most likely, if they make the playoffs, they're just squeaking in, and then they're going to be underdogs, and maybe it's like 2 games they're out. That could be, but from the fan base, from the big picture, from Tom Pohlad, from the however you want to look at it, how many fans can you win between now and the end of that run, even if it ends in disappointment? How many people can you get back into watching, paying attention to the Twins? How many people can you get back into Target Field if you do this, even if it ends in a defeat early? I think there's, I probably wouldn't have said the same kind of things in other years, to be honest, but I think this year in particular, this organization needs to be desperate to show this, Twins territory as a whole, whatever you want to call it, the fan base, the potential fan base, the market. They need to show that the things are going to be different somehow. And they didn't spend money this offseason, despite kind of Tom Pohlad talking a big game about wanting to compete. So, like, you got to do something. And the players are holding up their end of the bargain. They're doing something. They're winning games. Again, we've talked about the expectations, and they're beating expectations. So it'll also be, again, a slap in the face to that clubhouse, to this coaching staff, if they just totally, didn't attempt to invest anything. So I don't think we need to get worked up about that yet, but I don't want to get upset before anything potentially happens, because I've said this a bunch of times. I really do think Tom Pohlad gets the situation and or at least has been more willing to publicly comment about how like underwater they are in terms of fan morale. But it's at a certain point, you do have to do something about it. So we'll see. Yeah, that's the thing too. We get hyper focused on the bullpen, but yeah, we really do need a third starter. That could be, fixing two things. I talked about this on, or I don't know if I brought it up, but it was discussed on the Twins Off Daily podcast I was on recently that, hey, I think it was Gregory Masterson who threw out the idea of a Sonny Gray trade. It's kind of like a really fun, reunion idea. And I've not been thinking about that kind of potential of them grabbing a rotation piece, and it would help the bullpen, because it would allow you to move somebody else into the bullpen. And, I'm not saying Connor Prelip doesn't belong in the rotation, but there are serious concerns about his ability to shoulder a load to continue to throw innings. So that would be such an easy thing. Once so it's easy to get a third starter. I'm not saying it'd be easy to get a third starter. Not only are you going to have to give up a lot, there's going to be a lot of competition. So yeah, it's that's easier said than done. But then you can move somebody out to the bullpen. Kind of Prelip in the bullpen could look. It's hard to say how guys are going to handle a different role and pitching on a different schedule. Really pitching on not a schedule. But he could look better than Andrew Morris has. He is disgusting. And if you shorten up his stuff and his pitch counts and his innings, he could be ridiculous. Oh my gosh, you guys gonna make me? I have a bunch of stuff everywhere. You're gonna make me get up. I got pants on, okay? I got pants on, okay? Jesus. What is going on in this chat right now? Yeah, Gabby Gonzalez and Hendry Mendez are definitely guys that are extra pieces here, that would be really attractive. And so I think it's hard for us to. The Twins have been so capable offensively for so many years. Like, when was the last time there was like a bottom 10 Twins offense? I feel like it's been a really long time. There are some teams that are really just empty in terms of their hitting in the big leagues, in terms of their hitting in their minor league system. And yeah, Gabby Gonzalez and Hendry Mendez, they're going to be attractive to somebody, and they are extra pieces here. Matt Wallner, again, I don't know, because Matt Wallner is a different story, because he's already it's kind of silly to think about, but he's getting closer to arbitration money, and that's not a big deal. And they're all three of those guys are on the 40-man roster, so that's not a consideration that teams are going to have. But yeah, he's arbitration eligible next season. He's not going to be making that much money, but a team, again, like if you're talking to a team like Baltimore, they're probably not. I don't know what you do with Matt Wallner at this point, is probably what I should say, instead of trying to figure out, dance around the topic. I have no idea what they can do with Matt Wallner. There's not really a path for him to getting back into the big leagues. That's one thing about, it's great Luke Keeschel, trying to figure out where he lands, and finally kind of like acknowledging, like, yeah, second base probably is not going to be it. And he looked great in center field tonight. Made a couple really good plays, but the outfield is already super crowded. It's already super crowded with, Jenkins in AAA, with Emmanuel Rodriguez still injured. Those guys, there's a really good reasoning that they should be, in the big leagues before too long. Keeschel getting in there, it's really, really difficult to see a path for Matt Wallner to get back, no matter what he does in St. Paul. He can hit 500 in St. Paul, and you still don't know what you're going to get from him in the big leagues. The guy, he's been incredible at times, but the overall is, and especially when you factor in his defense and running, we're talking about Keeschel. If we're comparing him to guys like Keeschel and Martin, there's just so much more those guys can do. Not saying that means they're more valuable overall than Wallner, but I think he's just in a really tricky spot. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what happens with him. All right. Oh, wow. Yeah, we were, the Sonny Gray one was kind of just like a thought process, but wow, they've won. I didn't realize they've won 11 in a row. Yeah, and if you're that hot in the American League, you buy for sure. And we were talking about expectations here. Boston, they are not pleased with how things have gone of late, so it could be interesting. Let's see. So yeah, we kind of talked about Ryan Jeffers. Probably going to be wrapping up the stream here shortly. We discussed Ryan Jeffers and how, talked a lot about his trade possibilities, and how I think, it's not that worst thing in the world to carry a guy to free agency and lose him for nothing. In certain cases, it also, it goes both ways though. The Twins probably could weather the storm without Ryan Jeffers, since their catching looks like a good situation. Other thing we talked about, I want to call out again, is this Luke Keeschel slide. He didn't intentionally nick this ball. He's not Neo in the Matrix. He wasn't that aware of everything going around him, but he was aware of where that throw was coming from. He was aware of where Swanson was trying to catch this ball. And that is just a little thing that Luke Keeschel did, in addition to playing good defense tonight too. This ball hit off of his sliding mitt, hit Swanson in the face. He was safe. He advanced to third, I think, and got this rally going. Could have been a double play ball, and instead they didn't get an out on this play. Ryan Jeffers later hits the 3-run home run, and Bailey Ober looked like he wasn't going to get out of the second inning to pitching into the sixth. So that was just a huge point in the game. Also, I want to share this again just to see how video goes again. I shared this. So here comes that Walker Jenkins home run with the Saints again, just because I just want to see this swing again, really.
So 1-0 here to Jenkins, and he turns on one. Will it stay fair? It is fair, and it is gone. So 1-0.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the super chats. I really appreciate that. I have a good time on these. It's really fun to have some people to bounce ideas off of and chat with while we're, I mean, obviously having a good game to talk about. That's the biggest thing. Such a fun win, and it was fun to react to that live. I'm going to try to do these more often. I called out sort of over the break. In case you missed it, I do want to talk more about the big club right now because it's fascinating. Every game is huge. We've been talking for almost an hour. There's so many things to talk about right now, and it's such a fun time. Obviously it's been really easy to be down as a Twins fan, but dude, we got Von Lackey in the draft this week. The team is 500 on July 17th. Who would have thought that? Byron Buxton, hopefully he'll be back before too long, but he's having like an MVP type season. Things are feeling good. So, I like talking about the big club more when things are feeling good. So definitely gonna be talking about the big club more. I want to do more of these live streams too. So probably be doing these, some of these post game. Sometimes they work out better than other times for me. So, but I'll try to give a pretty good advance notice like I did today. Get something up on YouTube hours in advance. So be on the lookout for those. But thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.